Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name's Sophie and this channel is chronicling my journey of living my best life with multiple chronic health conditions. I did not think I would be making this video today. I may actually have a doctor who's going to do something, finally. So that's what this video will be about. I went to my local cardiologist yesterday, and I was expecting to be dismissed just like I normally am, and the appointment did start out that way. It started by her saying, oh, the invasive CPET, invasive cardiopulmonary exercise test looks basically normal. And at that point, I was like, well, I have nothing to lose now because with that attitude, I'm obviously not coming back. So I just sort of went off and I was like, oh, so you're okay with my cardiac pressures consistently increasing and now they're all elevated and the pulmonary hypertension is worsening and my cardiac output is decreasing, and I just sort of spelled stuff out. She was surprised. She was making a lot of funny facial expressions. There was a lot of stuff like she was just very uncomfortable for like 5 or so minutes. She did eventually come around and we started having more deeper level conversation because, as I've said before, I do work in the medical field, so I do know what my results mean. And I did sort of tell her that also. I'm like, I work in the medical field, I know what this means. I don't know why doctors aren't doing anything about it. I told her that doctors were ghosting me, and she sort of apologized for that and said I promise I'm not gonna ghost you, I will respond. And basically we're treating me for heart failure with preserved ejection fraction, which I will talk about in the next video, which is what should have happened as soon as I had the test with the cardiac pressures I had. Let me look at my notes real quick. I guess before I get into what we're doing, just some more of the awkwardness. So I gave her a printout of a comparison table I made of my cardiac pressures from my 3 right heart catheterizations. And she literally asked me where I got the numbers from. I don't know if I guess maybe she didn't want to believe them. I don't really know why she would ask such a question. I'm like, are you insinuating I made up the numbers? I don't understand. What do you mean, where did I get them from? I got them from the report. Those are my pressures. And that's sort of where things started improving in terms of her coming on board and not doing the, oh, it looks basically normal BS. She did say I've had a lot of tests and there are things wrong. It doesn't point to one specific thing. It's probably multiple things going on, but that's not a reason to continue testing without treating me. And she said she works empirically, and by that she means she'll just test stuff to see if it helps, which is perfectly fine with me. I'm not looking for a unifying one diagnosis. I don't think there is one. I think there are many. And so at least she agrees with that also. I told her I have lots of comparison tables and she does want me to send them to her. So over the weekend I will be working on sort of typing stuff up, sort of saying this is what I see wrong, this is what I think's going on, this is sort of what's been investigated in different areas, this is what I'm still struggling with, because when you have a multi-systemic issue, it's really hard to do all this in what is supposed to be a 30-minute appointment. So I will just type it all up, put it in PDFs, and send it through the patient portal. One thing I did ask is about the pulmonary hypertension and whether I need to see a specialist. She originally said no because I don't have pulmonary arterial hypertension, which again I'll talk about in the next video, and that my pulmonary hypertension probably got worse because my other cardiac pressures increased And I told her, well, I agree with you. I had pulmonary hypertension before my cardiac pressures were high. So it is not caused by the increase in pulmonary hypertension, cardiac pressures. And again, she sort of made facial expressions, but we sort of settled on we're going to treat the left-sided heart failure first and just sort of see where that leads us. So one thing I will definitely say is I do want another right heart cath, be it like in 9 months or a year, to make sure my pressures are coming down. Because the other ways they get pressures and they estimate them have been completely wrong. So I had a cardiac MRI as well as an echocardiogram, and basically on both of them, they estimated my pressures to all be normal. And the echocardiogram was in April. And even then, my pressures were more elevated on my prior right heart cath than they were estimating them to be. So they're just not accurate for me at all. So that is something I will tell her that I do want, just because pulmonary hypertension can contribute to a lot of my symptoms, and if we don't know the cause, it's just going to keep getting worse. Again, I'll go into more detail about heart failure and pulmonary hypertension in the next video. So the treatment that I will be on is for heart failure with preserved ejection fraction, otherwise called HFpEF. And there are 3 medications that are sort of recommended and is standard for that. So I'm on one, which is Farxiga, but I'm not on the correct dose. But since I literally just picked up a refill for that, I asked if we could start a new medication instead of increasing the Farxiga. So I am starting on spironolactone, which is another diuretic. It's a potassium-sparing diuretic, so I will no longer have to take a potassium supplement, which is wonderful. So I will start that either today, which is Friday, or tomorrow, which is Saturday. I just don't know if I want to start it on a work day, because I don't know if it's going to make me really lightheaded, because it's going to plummet my blood pressure and stuff like that. So I'd rather start it on a day that I'm not working, but I actually have plans this weekend, so I don't know. We'll see. I will be starting that within the next couple days. Then I am also going to be seeing her nurse practitioner like every month or so until I see her again, as we titrate me up on these medications. We are doing one thing at a time. We are starting low and going slow, as they like to say, because I do have autonomic dysfunction, meaning my blood pressure does tank, my heart rate does get really high for no really good reason except I change positions. So it is going to be difficult to manage these two things, but I've known that. I've been managing the whole sodium carbohydrate thing for over a year now. I've been consistently tracking my intake and sort of knowing what's going to happen based on my intake. But currently it looks like I actually have a doctor who is going to do something. She is going to share all of my charts and tables and results with some colleagues who are also like heart failure experts and who know about the invasive cardiopulmonary exercise test and autonomic dysfunction, and see if like all together they can sort of come up with a game plan, because I do not fit in one bubble. I am in multiple bubbles. When I am laying down, my pressures are all elevated, classic heart failure pressures. When I sit up, all of my pressures plummet, which they should not. They should be relatively the same, and that is more than likely the autonomic dysfunction. And then when I exercise, which I will send her the study, because currently it says my pressures increase adequately with exercise, but they actually increase more than they should when you look at either healthy controls or people with HFpEF. So I will send her that study as well and just be like, hey, actually, my pressures go higher than they should with exercise. I just want to make this as easy as possible for her. I know I'm obviously not her only patient, and I've done the research. I've been trying to figure out what is wrong with me for almost 3.5 years now. It'll be 3.5 years within a week, I believe. So I have no problem sending her the information of stuff that I found and links to articles and stuff like that, if it helps me get better or get treatment or at least try. But I wasn't going to do that if they're just going to be dismissive. It's not worth my energy. But that is where we currently are in terms of the doctor front. The next video will be about heart failure and pulmonary hypertension, and sort of how all of that fits into explaining my symptoms with the heart failure, pulmonary hypertension, and the sequelae of that, of like the fluid retention and cardiac output decreasing and stuff like that, combined with the autonomic dysfunction, the impaired oxygen extraction, really does describe almost all of my symptoms. So maybe I am finally getting somewhere. Time will tell. Again, she told me she will not ghost me. She said it's going to take a few weeks. She's on vacation this coming week, so not to expect like her to respond like the next day or anything. But she said she will not ghost me. So since it's basically September, at the beginning of October, if she does not respond, I will message her again. I have not messaged Cleveland Clinic again. They have not responded at this time. Currently, we're just going to see what the local cardiologist does and go from there. I will definitely be talking to the Cleveland Clinic people when I have appointments with them in November and December and being like, hey, what's up? But until then, we're just going to see how the local cardiologist and her colleagues play out. And fingers crossed, we're actually getting somewhere now and things can sort of stop getting worse in some areas. Anyway, I hope you guys are having a good day whenever it is you are seeing this, and I will talk to you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.